my name's Alex Walker. Welcome back to the channel, and this is the first in our series of free haircutting tutorials. Today, I'm going to be taking you through the simplest, easiest version of a shag haircut that you've ever seen. So a shag haircut technically is a layered haircut. The names shag haircut, butterfly cut, wolf cut, all have been created by the public, by fashion, by trends, and we have to know these names because that is what our clients come in and ask us for. But the reality is this is a layered haircut. I'm gonna make it as simple and easy as possible so you can do this haircut in salon commercial times effectively, easily, simply, and creating amazing results. The first thing I'm gonna do is show you how I've sectioned this haircut and explain to you the reasons why. I've sectioned off the haircut with a central profile section running from the highest point of the head to the front hairline. This is going to be where I start and begin my haircut. My section also runs from the highest point of the head to just behind the ear, separating out my front zones with my back zones. In the back of my haircut, I have the central profile section continuing from the top of the head to the nape of the neck. This will be where we begin cutting the back of the hair when we get to that point after we've cut the front. I begin my haircut by taking a small piece of my central profile zone. This is going to make up my guideline length for the whole haircut. In this scenario, if I was doing a client, I would work with them to decide the length that they want the hair to be. I would physically and visibly show them on their face where the hair would sit and pass the responsibility to them, encouraging them to make the decision alongside me about the length we're going to cut this hair. This is going to be our shortest point of our layering and our shaping around the face. I'm going to use the chin as a guide. I want to place little to no tension on the hair, so I'm not pulling the hair down or combing the hair tight. I'm simply holding the section of hair and then I'm cutting in my guide easily straight underneath my fingers. This then makes up the guide for the rest of my haircut. Once I have my guideline length that you will clearly see here, I am now going to take hair from this section, breaking it into two to make it easier to manage between my fingers, combing the hair directly out from the head until I can see my guideline, and then I'm going to cut the hair. We could either use a club cutting technique to create a blunter, sharper line, or alternatively, we could comb this hair up and use a point cutting technique. The point cutting technique would give the hair more softness and more movement. Then I come into the back of the section, and here the decision I make is based upon how much length I want to leave towards the back of the haircut. So the further I pull this hair forward, the more over direction I use, the longer this hair will be when it sits back into its natural position. So I'm going to comb this hair towards my previous section, using a gentle point cutting technique, removing the length. We comb the hair one more time to check the line is perfect, removing any unwanted lengths. And there we have our first section complete. Following on from the central zone as my guide, I am now going to take sections that run from back to front horizontally, combing each of these sections up towards the center point and my guideline. I'm maintaining the same angle, a square body position, and cutting the hair using my point cutting technique. I've broken down the section again. I take a small part of it as my guideline, comb the remainder of the section upwards, and cut the hair. All of the time here, I'm looking to maintain good, even tension throughout, making sure there is no sagging at the root to keep the line clean and make sure that we keep that consistency throughout the haircut. Working with horizontal sections from back to front. As the sections narrow and the hair narrows, I no longer need to split it up into two to cut it. I can hold all this hair between my fingers in one go. Then slightly recombing at the front to make sure I maintain good tension between the end of my fingers and my second knuckle. We don't want to be cutting any hair between our second knuckle and the top of our finger here and our third knuckle. Combing the hair up, always making sure I'm bringing it to the center and to my guideline, and I'm cutting the hair. By elevating this hair all the way up to the top, we are ensuring that there is going to be little to no weight throughout the layering of this haircut. The way elevation works is the higher you lift the hair, the less weight there will be at the end in your result. So because I'm lifting this hair as high as I physically can, there will be no weight, which also means that there will be very little removing of weight, refining, point cutting required at the end of this haircut. Here you can clearly see the left-hand side that we have cut has less weight, more layering, more movement, more softness to the shape, encouraging that flow of hair to have that natural wave and really give it that beautiful softness. And then the other side that isn't cut, no matter how much we move this, scrunch it, lift it, it's incredibly heavy, has all the weight left in the shape, and would be very, very difficult for our client to style. Because I'm trying to maintain a consistency in pulling the hair towards my body to be in control of the shape, I've turned the head in the opposite direction. I would also do this with my client's chair, turning the chair to make sure I can control the hair in the best way possible. I'm also using the mirror to look directly to see the root movement is correct, the tension is correct, combing the hair back to the guide that I created initially, using my point cutting technique, and this side I'm cutting the hair from front to back as opposed to from back to front. The great thing about this haircut is it just becomes a repetition of the technique over and over, making it really simple and really easy to follow, as well as being an incredibly time efficient salon technique. This haircut, when the hair is wet before blow drying, I would do on a salon client in approximately 10 to 15 minutes. Styling the hair, it would take me a further 15 minutes, giving me plenty of time should I need to refine the haircut in my 45-minute appointment slot. From the root to the tip to the guideline, maintaining good tension, good body posture, and the same cutting angle as I did previously, moving my fingers along the section to make sure I'm only cutting between the ends of my fingers and my second knuckle, and continuing to point cut my line. Combing the hair up, cutting the line. I'm now going to use the last piece of the top section. So this is centrally from around the highest point of the head. I'm combing this hair up, and I'm going to now incorporate the section of hair that I left out in the back of the head that runs from the highest point all the way down to the nape. I'm going to comb this hair, elevating it up to my guideline and cutting the line. Now, the elevation that I am using and over direction away from where the hair falls naturally will give me both a weightless layered look in addition to maintaining the length in the overall haircut. You could over direct this hair further, which would maintain even more length at the back. You could also angle your fingers, which would give you a more extreme increase in length from short to long. Continuing to pivot round, taking segment-like sections, over directing the hair back to the previous section. We only over direct the hair back to the previous section as opposed to all the way back to the center because if I was to over direct the hair all the way back to the center of the head at the back, as we did in the front, it would create me a point and corner on the side of the head, giving the haircut too much width. I comb the hair up to my guideline and I point cut out my line. Elevate and over direct away from where the hair falls naturally and removing any unwanted lengths. I remove section 1 from my hands. I am now working on section 2 and section 3 together. I move my body in order to see the root area of where I'm cutting, and I comb the hair backwards to section 2, lifting up and cutting my square line. I remove section 2, groom the hair away. I'm working on section 3 and section 4 together. We potentially could break this down into 2 more sections, but as it is a small section, I'm going to cut this hair in one go, over directing up, reaching my guide and cutting the hair. We are going to take a very small cross section that incorporates a little bit of hair from each zone. Comb this hair up. We're going to move to the right hand side zone at the back of the head. So I come back to the center as my guideline, and I'm working now around in my segment sections, using my guide and my new section directly up until I see my cutting line and point cut the hair. As you can see here, some of the outline and perimeter length drops away from the shape, retaining the outline length. I am now working with my guideline section from section 1 and section 2 between my fingers, combing the hair up, point cutting my line. Repeating into the nape of the neck. I'm now working on section 3. And the process is quite simply to just continue to pivot around the head, combing the hair back to the previous section and up towards the cutting line with maximum amounts of elevation. The thing I love most about this haircut is the simplicity, ease and repetition of the movements, which makes it much simpler to cut and easy to continue to work in a consistent way. Combing the hair up to the cutting line and point cutting away the length. We take a small cross section between the back and the front to just comb this hair up and check that the 2 zones connect to one another. As you can see here, there is little to no hair to be removed, which shows the consistency in the work. I'm going to style the hair using the Davro smoothing balm. This is an anti-frizz smoothing product. That amount of product for the whole head, applying everywhere, working our way from ends through to the mid-lengths and eventually up towards the root area. The reason we like to start with the ends of the hair is because this is the area that requires the most smoothing, requires the most moisture, and can absorb the product the best. We are beginning our blow dry at the front of the head. As we cut the haircut this way, the front area is the most important part of our shape. So if I'm doing this on a client, I want to make sure we get the shape right on the blow dry at the front. The client can see the results very quickly. They are then feeling relaxed and happy with how it looks, and it makes the whole process easier, more relaxing for the client, and you can make sure that they're really happy with the work that we've done. order to create the movement in the hair that I want, I'm holding the brush vertically, either from top to bottom, or holding the brush this way, depending on which hand you use. I'm using the brush, heating as I go, and then twisting the brush underneath, smoothing the hair as I work through from roots to ends. This creates me a very soft, natural wave, whilst keeping the root area slightly flatter for a more modern, looser look. Once my blow dry is complete, I'm going to take a very small amount of the Davro Shine Mist spray. This is a liquid cosmetic shine product that we just spray over the hair, and then I'm going to take a wide tooth comb. Alternatively, you could do this with a soft brush or your fingers, but I quite like the finish that the comb gives on the hair. I'm just going to rake it through my blow dry to remove some of the defined pieces that we've blow dried. Take away that set looking feeling, and really what we're looking for here, and the purpose of this tutorial is of course to see the shape of the haircut, the layering and the movement that it's given the hair, all with just cutting our technique on wet hair and not cutting the hair dry, not taking the weight out of it, and not refining, personalizing and cutting this hair once it was dry. So in terms of being a salon friendly commercial technique, this is about as simple and easy as it gets. It gives a really beautiful looking shag type haircut, layered, textured, and really easy to manage and look after. Thank you so much for watching this shag haircut tutorial. Like, subscribe to the channel. There will be more free tutorial haircut videos coming very, very soon. And for those of you that want to specially request certain haircuts that you want to learn how to do, drop it in the comments below and we will record a tutorial for you.